Thank you, colleagues. Please be seated. Can I start, please, by asking you all to turn off your phones so that, there's no interruption during the procedure. Thank you, everyone. Item 1 on the Council summons is to receive disclosures by members of interest in matters under consideration. Can we please take these in order? And will members declaring an interest please identify themselves and their particular interest clearly? I would also remind members declaring an interest to complete the usual yellow forms which are available in the Council chambers and return them to Andrew Taylor at the end of the meeting. Firstly, colleagues, are there any disclosable pecuniary interests to be declared? Yes. Firstly, colleagues, can I ask you to identify yourselves clearly and remind people that you do have to leave the room? Are there any interests other than pecuniary? Right. Didn't Andrew get them all then? We need to make a note of all the disclosable pecuniary interests because all the names were not taken down. Can you raise your hands and make it clear, please? Is that all right? Thank you. I think that's clear now. And can I remind you, when that item comes up, please leave the room. Are there any interests other than pecuniary?
Taylor and Joe. Or is it? Which item are they different?
Can you please tell me which item of interest you want to declare on?
It's Councillor Glenn Burton. Madam Mayor, I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest in item 7, agenda page 10, the pre-apprenticeship programme. I'm actively involved with the project.
Okay. Wallace, Councillor Wallace. Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Madam Mayor, Councillor Richard Forster, agenda item 7A, I'm a member of the Heritage Trust.
Thank you. Councillor Hopkins.
Item 12, Madam Mayor, interest other than pecuniary.
Councillor Cliff, I believe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Interest other than pecuniary on agenda item 11, the HS2.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Dick Taylor, agenda item 12, private rented housing. I'm a private landlord and have a pecuniary interest.
Thank you. Yes, Elaine.
Same agenda item, Madam Mayor. Agenda item number 12, I'm a private landlord.
Thank you. Councillor Askew.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Jean Askew, I'd like to declare an interest in item 12, a pecuniary interest as I'm a private landlord. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Loughran.
So I'd like to declare an interest in item number 12, and also item number 11. I want to speak on that, but I'm a member of Metro.
Councillor Tully.
Yes, I'd like to declare interest on agenda item number 12. I have a mortgage on another property in my ward, which I rent to a family member, so I do declare an interest.
Yes, Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Johnson. I'd like to declare an interest in item 12 on the private rented sector.
Councillor
Harrison.
Councillor Harrison, item 12, the landlord. Pecuniary interest.
Are there any more? Agenda item 2 is to receive and confirm the minutes of the meeting of council held on the 18th of September 2013, pages 1 to 7. Please note that all references to page numbers throughout the meeting are those at the top of each page. Are these minutes moved? Thank you. Will someone second the meeting? Minutes. Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Can we have all in favour of the minutes, please? That is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 3 is to receive apologies for absence. Apologies for absence have been received in advance of the meeting from Councillor Mrs Crew. Are there any other? Councillor Askew.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, Councillor Alan Garbett.
Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Hodgson.
Councillor Hodgson. Any more? Thank you. Agenda item 4 is to deal with such announcements as I may decide to lay before council. Members will have been shocked to witness the ferocity and sheer scale of the devastation caused by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines last week. On behalf of council, may I place on record our sincere condolences and support to all affected by this terrible storm. I am aware there is a national appeal that has been launched, of which we are part of. The Mayor's Charity. The recent Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament, held on the 2nd of November, raised £426. When I attended the prize presentation afterwards, I was somewhat embarrassed, as Darren, my son, and my 2 grandsons had won first prize. Congratulations to them and all who took part. On the 7th of December, I will be undertaking a charity backpack at Sainsbury's Trinity Walk. Volunteers to help out on this day are always welcome. I am pleased to confirm that the Civic Carol service will be held on Wednesday the 18th of December in the Cathedral at 7 p.m. The Havana Bar in Wakefield will again play host to the ultimate Christmas party. The party will be held on Friday the 20th of December and tickets are now on sale. All proceeds from the ticket sales go towards the Mayor's Charity. Can I also please add that Brian's memorial service will take place at St Peter's Church in Horbury on Sunday at 3 p.m. Thank you, colleagues, and that concludes my announcements. Agenda item 5 is to receive any deputations in accordance with Council Procedures Rule 11. No deputations have been received. Agenda item 6 is to receive the leader's report. After the leader has presented his report, he will answer any questions on issues contained within the report. Up to 30 minutes will be allowed for questions and answers. Councillor Box, would you please present your...
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I normally don't draw members' attention to council press releases, but the press release went out this afternoon on how we are getting ready for winter. It shows you the preparedness of this council. And just to say that we are ready, we're as prepared as we can be. I've asked officer colleagues to make sure that all elected members are kept up to date when we go out and grit, because one of the biggest issues that people contact us about during the winter months is about gritting, lack of gritting, and how we can help people. So please read the press release. It gives you all the details that you need. And I say members will be kept informed on a regular basis throughout the winter. I've been talking to individual councillors, officer colleagues and partner organisations about how we can build on our already very good consultation and engagement. And can I say to council, it's my intention that a paper be presented both to Cabinet and to council in the near future that looks at how we can make sure that both of those things are more effective in the future. We'll still need to work with our partner organisations, that goes without saying, but I'm very keen to see individual members involved at a local level in a way perhaps that they aren't at the moment. So I say the paper will be available hopefully before Christmas, but if not, very, very shortly thereafter. There's been a lot of public debate, Madam Mayor, recently about energy and water costs and the impact on families who are finding things tough. Can I say that it's not just individual members of the public who will be affected, but this authority as well. And negotiations are already taking place about the contract that we will enter into in due course. But just to say to members that if there is a 10% increase in fuel costs, that will impact on our budget by about £500,000 a year. So we need to make sure that we do what we can in terms of lobbying government to take some action against companies who, quite frankly, are ripping off the public. Let me give you just one example. Yorkshire Water made an operating profit of £331 million on a turnover of £936 million last year. Dividend payments quadrupled from 62.3 million to 256 million. That company paid no tax. No tax whatsoever. This is outrageous. Action needs to be taken. Action needs to be taken quickly. We all know that families right the way throughout this district are feeling the impact of these ever-increasing costs, but they will also impact on this authority, and by its nature, if they impact on this authority, it will impact on our residents as well. The West Yorkshire Combined Authority has now met for the second time in shadow form. I've been elected to chair that, Madam Mayor, so Wakefield hopefully will have a strong voice in the work of the Combined Authority. And the main aim is to ensure that we create a £1 billion transport fund. I'm pleased to say that the early talks that are taking place and have taken place mean that Wakefield will see some of our key schemes included in the first tranche. Details will be available later, but suffice to say now that we are doing everything we can to make sure that Wakefield gets a good deal in terms of that transport funding. And the last thing to say is this, that very shortly we'll be entering into the budget discussions for 2014-15. The government settlement will be announced, we believe, shortly before Christmas, and obviously once we know those figures, we will have to sit down and do some very hard thinking about what the impact will be on our budget in the next 2 years. I've already told Council in 2015 we anticipate that we'll have to find an extra £50 million on top of the savings we've already made. So it goes without saying that any suggestions about how we can save cash are always welcomed. I'd like to tell Council about the idea that we've had from Eric Pickles about how we can save money. And he said this: we need to have grazing cattle and sheep as a cheap way to cut grass. That's from Eric. That's serious. No joking. This is serious. That's what Eric Pickles has said, that to save costs, we need to see cattle and sheep. So, in an effort to get again innovative in Wakefield, Madam Mayor, I've asked the Chief Executive what it would cost to buy a giraffe so we can cut down on tree maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Box. Are there any questions on Councillor Box's report, please? Yes, Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, Councillor Box, looking at the items that you've identified and talked through, obviously we can only talk about the things that you've actually put forward in your report. I note your comment about engagement and this new initiative which is recording the council meeting. It's a great way, I guess, of giving people the opportunity to start to get a feel of what actually goes on in the council chamber. Would you agree with me that bearing in mind television has been available for an awful long time, that it really has been a timely matter? The second, I guess, is about probably the freemen of the city and their rights to graze. Is your proposal with giraffes likely to have any impact on the freedom of the city of the people in Wakefield and their rights to graze?
To be fair, I think your joke went down as well as mine. In terms of consultation and engagement, I think we always need to review what we do and seek how we can improve it. It's not to say what we've done in the past was all bad, of course it wasn't. A lot of it was and will remain an excellent way to engage people. I do think that individual members should take on a greater responsibility themselves for some of the engagement at ward level, and more importantly, to make sure that when that engagement has taken place, there is some kind of feedback to council, so we are aware of the key issues that we need to be addressing based on that feedback. In terms of the town hall costs, I just raised that to show the absurdity of the Secretary of State in thinking that quite seriously this idea has been put forward by the Taxpayers Alliance, but for a Secretary of State to associate himself with it, I just think shows the level to which he has now stooped. The truth is that over the last few years we have seen budget savings and we have become one of the most efficient local authorities in this country. But something has to give. We have done our best to protect people throughout the district, the young and the not so young. We've tried to do our best. But we can no longer hold the line from 2015. And we need to make it abundantly clear there will be some serious decisions to make, and there will be a worse service in many areas because of those decisions. There is no way that you can be efficient over the last 2 or 3 years in the way we have been, and then take out 50 million without any impact. So I was trying to use what was said by Eric Pickles and the Taxpayers Alliance to illustrate that if we are to have a serious debate, then what we need is a government that is serious about engaging with us, serious about talking to us about what can be achieved and what can't be achieved, instead of some cheap nonsense as appeared in the press last week.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Box. Are there any other questions, please? That concludes the leader's report. Agenda item 7 is to receive written Cabinet members' report in accordance with Council Procedures Rule 13. I will take each report in order that they appear on the agenda. Under the Council Procedure Rules, each Cabinet member is allocated 5 minutes to present their report. An additional 15 minutes is then allocated to enable each Cabinet member to answer any questions and brief comments on both issues contained within the report or on the wider issues within their respective portfolios. Councillor Mrs Jeffrey, Can you produce your report, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I haven't a lot to add to the report, except to say I think it's pretty good news in this report. I think it's a good report, and I would say that, wouldn't I? But it is. There's so much going on across this district at the moment that isn't happening in any other area. I mean, where else are we having 2 new railway stations, a new bus station in Castleford, a new library being built, lots of new houses being built? The prospect of a joint venture company with WDH will be coming up very soon. And the work that we're doing with investment and jobs and growth. I think I've said it all really, but I think it is good news for this district.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Are there any questions, please? Councillor Wallace.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Agenda page 11, the Pontefract Heritage Open Days. These, as you quite rightly said, have been a success. But that weekend saw Heritage Open Days throughout the district, including the City, Castleford and Ossett, as well as Pontefract. Does the Cabinet member agree that the enthusiasm of organisations within the district to take part in Heritage Open Days shows the pride that people of the district have in their areas?
Yes, I would agree with that. I think what it's shown, the Heritage Open Days have shown that people actually want events. I think I mentioned in the last report last month how much events and days like this mean to the people of this district. It boosts the economy, the shops, the traders enjoy these events, they really benefit from it. But I think the people involved are to be congratulated. The time and effort they put into organising these days. So I would agree with Councillor Wallace that they are a marvellous thing to do.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Any more questions, please? Thank you. Then we'll move on to agenda item 7B. Next is Councillor Mrs. Garbutt's report, which can be found on pages 15 to 18.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In moving my report, could I just mention the funding for the clinical commissioning groups? As it says in the report, that NHS England is undertaking a review of how it allocates funding to the clinical commissioning group, and governments have changed the financial formula to be more population-based and take out the deprivation and health inequalities. This is now complete, and NHS England's board will be asked to vote on this new formula in December, so we will have some clear direction of how this may affect. The figures in the report may alter, but it's how it affects the district, the people in the district. It's a great amount of money that's going to be lost to the clinical commissioning group, and also, with our funding that we're losing as well, and it's going to make a big impact on the district. So in that, Madam Mayor, I'll move my report and take any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Garbutt. Are there any questions, please? David, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it is the question of the funding of the clinical commissioning groups. Madam Mayor, I've trawled through the website reports from Monitor and from NHS England over the past 2 or 3 days because, like you, Councillor Garbutt, I am concerned about this question of £43 million. I have to say, although there was reference to the need to look at how funding is going to be reconfigured over the next number of years, especially with an ageing population, I wasn't able to find any specific reference and verify the figure that you made. I'm not saying that your figure's wrong, but I wasn't able to find it. So I'm wondering whether you can direct me to the specific document that identifies this, because I'm quite sure that many people would, wish to find out just what the situation is. Because we know from Monitor and from NHS England that over the next 10 years or so, there's going to be terrific pressure on the NHS budget partly because of the increase in population generally, but also because of the increase in an ageing population, as well as the technical advances that obviously run ahead of normal inflation. So can you direct me to the correct document, please?
Thank you for that. Yes, we did have a letter sent to us with regards to the information that NHS England were looking at the actual funding regime, and have a list of fundings that each local authority, how they will be affected. And down south, they're gaining. We are losing up this way. So, as I say, it is on the website as far as I'm aware, so, you know, it's sort of whether or not I'll try and find the direct link to it, but I haven't got it with me at this moment in time.
Any further questions?